Welcome this afternoon to Keys to Living with Herb Keener, and I am Herb Keener. Today we're going to be talking about bondage to ourself. We're going to talk about how to free yourself from it, and all this can be verified with the Word of God. But today we're going to start off, and I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my book. I don't promote it a lot, and I need to start doing this because if you'll read this book, you'll understand what I'm saying, and you'll understand who I am saying it, whether I can verify my existence as an elderly person and as someone that has went through the left side of life instead of the right side, and but finally was able to overcome what I was delved into and begin to know the reality of doing things right. Because when you do things right, right things happen. But when you do things wrong, wrong things happen. And I'm sure if you went to the prisons in this California or anywhere else, you would find that they would agree with you that there was a decision that they wish they hadn't have made that brought them wherever they were. So confinement is a bondage, but confinement of the mind is a worse bondage than confinement of the physical body. And the reason I know a lot about this is because I lived it, do it. And that's what I say, if you'll get to the point where you can read my book, then you'll understand the experiences I've had. You'll understand how I come out of what I got into and what caused me to do that. There was a time, and this book tells you, there was a time that I said, I can't live with the consequences I've created on this earth. I just can't live with them. So I decided and made a plan to take my own life. And this was in 1983, in March of 1983. I tell you, it's when you make a decision like that and when you go to follow it up, you don't plan on seeing the next day. Well, I've seen a lot of days since I made that decision, but in the book, as it'll say, how I come to that decision and then what brought me out of that decision. But the book is just all about the bad decisions in my life, where I went to find my peace and my joy and to deal with life was, there was no peace, there was no joy, there was existence, and greedy in the mind, looking for money and trying to develop a way of receiving money, but developing in a way that would cause you to end up in prison or death. And so that's why I would love for you to get on to herbkeener.com. That's my website, herbkeener.com. I keep looking in there for you guys to reply, and nobody's doing anything. So I need for you to at least get in there and to email me. You can email me at herb@herbkeener.com. That is my email address for the book or just for communication. You get in there, and there's a place in that website where you can turn page for page on the book. There's about a half a chapter in there or less, I don't know. But you click on the side and it turns the pages, and you're able to read it, and you're able to see where I come from, why I feel like I am capable and absolutely have the background to tell you the things that I'm telling you. And this, my friend, is if you're hearing it from somebody that's went through it, why would you do it? Why would you even want to think about doing it if you knew the consequences led to imprisonment or death? You see, most people that get into things, they don't think about the consequences. They just think about the benefits. All that was in my mind is I was going to be a multi-millionaire in about 2 years. As it ended up, I ended up not only broke, I ended up destitute, nowhere to go, and went home to mama at 44 years old. Now think about that one. So what I'm telling you today, I need for you people to get in there, and you need to communicate with me, at least tell me something, or tell me why I'm wrong. I'm okay with that too, because if you can convince me I'm wrong, that's fine. But what I try to deal with, if you can't look in that Bible and find out what I'm telling you to be true, then you really don't need to be listening. You need to be looking at Looney Tunes or something. So what the deal is I'm telling you who I am and trying to save somebody from going through the path that I went through. 81 years old now. This happened when I was 43, got saved when I was 44, and there was a lot happened to me. Then after I got saved, the journey really began, because then you have to start, everything was fine till I started talking to people. You see, when you start talking to people, they're going to tell you how dumb it is what you said. They're going to tell you what you should have done, what you shouldn't have done. And man, you know what you should have done. You're the one that done it. And you know what you should not have done. I can tell you this is a positive statement. I do not know what to do. But I can tell you this, I know what not to do. And so through life, I've always known what not to do, but I done it anyway. And I never got to the point of doing what I needed to do, and I didn't know what to do. So I done things out of my own mind and my own way and my own greedy mentality and crazy attitude, like nothing can ever happen to me because I know what I'm doing. Well, I ended up in the field going to kill myself. Now, if that's the end of the journey, then my decisions didn't mean too much. And I'm probably not the only dumb box on the block. So you need to listen up, try to understand what I'm saying, because what I am saying, I lived. I've had people hate me. I had people love me. I had people lie to me. I had people I could trust. I've had it all. And once you go through a lot of that, it's easy to spot those that are saying one thing and have a agenda of another. This is why we were successful in our drug and alcohol program, is when you're able to identify those that are just there because it's available, than those that are there that really want help, see, and need it. There's the difference. If you can begin to see those people that are there because they really want the help, not just because it's a tool to get them out of something they got into, or it's just a way for them to entertain themselves at your expense. What I'm telling you is you need to get to a point where you know what you know is real, it's alive, it's well. Then you can start walking through this earth and you can start getting yourself in a positive position. You can stand up positively instead of wondering what's going to happen, what's going to do. There's ways to do things in this life that will lift you up. And there's a zillion ways to do things that will lay you flat on your back. So the reason that I even got into doing this Keys to Living is I consider Keys to Living a set of tools. There's keys for everything you get yourself into. Everything you lock yourself into, everything you get locked up with, there's keys to that. Even if you go to prison, there's a key to that cell. It may be electronic key, it may be a key, but there's always a key. And it's the same way in your mind. When you get your mind set on something that's really not right, but you're the only one that don't know that, there's a key to unlock that. You know, when you get yourself in bondage, the only way out is to change your way of thinking. You know, we used to call that in the programs, we call that when they begin to think, well, I'm okay, I can do anything I want, nothing going to happen to me. We call that stinking thinking. And boy, it fit. Because when you start thinking like that, and you start thinking like, well, I don't need this program, I don't need people here, I don't need this, I don't need that, that's stinking thinking, because it begins to veer you back to where you come from. You know, the issue is sometimes people get out of there, and I've had cocaine dealers, I've had druggies, I've had alcoholics, and all those things that when they first come, man, they're just wide open, and really you can just fill them with the power of what God puts in them. But then as time goes by, they forgot the miserableness they went in. Then they decided, well, hey, this is all right, and they end up back doing what they're doing. Fortunately, some of them catch it early and they get back into the program and they get turned around. Your mind is a valuable thing, but it can do one of two things. It can either kill you or allow you to live. It's all in your thinking. Because if you think you have to wait until your body quits functioning to die, you're wrong. You can die inside and still be walking around, not knowing whether you're coming or going, not caring what happens in your life. But let me tell you, these keys to living, that's why this program is named Keys to Living. And I have a Keys to Living Ministry Incorporated. And I want you to know that for years, all we wanted to do through that program is to help people understand what they're doing is killing them. And pretty soon it'll affect your family. Pretty soon. There's a time to realize who you are, where you are, and why you're there. God didn't put us on this planet to be miserable, to do dumb things. I mean, if you look at the news today, pretty soon you get to the point where nothing shocks you because everything's being played out on now. People getting shot every day, children, stuff like that. But what I'm talking about today is you. You're the one that can change who you are. Nobody else can. So I know that the last few episodes, that's what I've been pounding on. But it's important for you to know there is a way out. There is a way to unlock that bondage that you're in. And there's a way for you to live a great and wonderful life. Money is not the issue. And the next thing is, you do not need to have circumstances overpower your rational thinking. Circumstances will always get you in trouble. When things happen around you, it's not so much what happens to you, it's how you receive it. It's how you rebound to it. It's what you do about it. The happening of things in your life is nothing compared to what do you do about it? You freak out and just lose your way, or do you stand up and say, wow, time and God will get me through this? So the rest of this program, we're going to be talking about bondage. We're going to be talking about how to free up from that bondage and give you some thought. Because once you think on things, it is nothing about me. I'm not smart enough to know all the answers. But I do have a memory, and I remember the ugliness in my life. And that's what's important. We need to know there's a better way. You just stay tuned here, and we'll be blessed, and so will you. God bless.
JKH Career Coaching and Consulting, creating solutions in career planning, development, training, and placement. Contact Jackie Kennedy Harris at JKH Career Coaching and Consulting at jkhccc.com or call 559-307-7712. Introducing Psychology for Today with host Alan Hedberg, PhD, clinical psychologist. Watch it on CentralValleyTalk.com the first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with the program on YouTube, Psychology for Today. Dr. Hedberg is also on YouTube under Dr. Teach Me to Parent and Boys to Men.
I'm back. Well, we're talking about bondage. Not so much strapped down and not all that ugly stuff they show you on TV. But what I'm talking about, bondage is in our own mind. Because, see, the only person that can get you there is you. And you see, people in your life is what causes it. But it's not their fault. Because, see, what they do to you or what they say to you means nothing. It's how you respond to it that makes the importance. If you make it a big deal, it becomes a big deal, and if you begin to put all that in your head, then everything begins to be miserable, and everything begins to be an issue, and everything begins to be a problem. That's why in the Word it talks about renew your mind daily. In other words, all that trash talk that somebody's been talking to you, or what all the ugliness that has been done to you that day, that's why you got to set that. If it's not worth anything, what do you put value on? That's the only thing that can bother you. Man, and there's no value whatsoever in the ignorance people speak into your ear. You see, the Lord says you need to be careful. Number one, what you say. But then you need to be careful of what you hear. Now, when I first latched on to that, it's been 5, 6 years, maybe a little longer. I'm driving down the road thinking about that. And all of a sudden I said, well, how do you get to the point where you can control what you hear? Because, you're going to hear people. You're going to be you can't just shut your ears off. So you are going to hear, but I can understand you controlling what you say because you have control over your mouth. We may not act like it sometimes, but we do. But see, when we get distracted with the ignorance of this world, we get distracted by people that really, more than likely, is just jealous, or they want you down where they're at, so they don't have to be thinking about what they're wrong. So what I'm saying is to be careful for what you hear. And I never understood that. Then as I began to search it out, then I realized it doesn't matter what you hear, it's the value you put on it. Because when it comes in your ear, you do one or two things. You put it as non-important, or you put value on it. And if it's a negative towards you, then and you put a value on it, all right, that goes into your subconscious, that goes into your mind, and then that's where every time you lay down and try to be quiet, it comes back and says, man, did you hear what he said about you? Did you hear about what they told me? Boy, I'm telling you, I can't stand it. That's when your misery begins. See, then when you do that enough times, pretty soon your mind is full of the negative, and all you can do is be angry. Because, man, there's nothing goes right. But see, you put value on their gossip. You put value on what they think you are. Who cares what they think you are? You know who you are. If you're a ding-dong, you're a ding-dong, man. But if you got your life together, you got it together. And anything they say or do is not going to change that. But when you get to the point when you listen and you start putting value, now you can put value on things they start uplifting with. Well, thank you, you know, and thank you, Lord, for giving me that this appreciation. And so that's all well and good. But don't put value on the negative things people say into your life or the things that they do. That will put you in bondage. And don't think for a moment it won't. All you got to do to know that I'm telling you the truth is stop, be very quiet, and what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Wow, they said that about me? Instead of not having any value whatsoever, you put value on that. So when it says be careful from what you hear, is not the volume, it's not the content, it's the value. Don't put value on the stupidity of other people. Don't allow what they think for you to become. Because if you think that long enough, then you're going to become what they said you are, even though you wasn't. The mind is a tricky thing. We all like acclamations. We all like people to love us. We all hate when people say bad things about us. But that puts you in bondage to them. They're off having a good time, being happy and all that, and you're over there being miserable over some words that come out of their mouth. How dumb is that? It's pretty dumb, but we do it anyway. So that's what I say about bondage. That'll get you in bondage. Things you do will get you in bondage. You need to forgive yourself for that stupid thing you done last week or yesterday or a few minutes ago. And if you talk bad about this program, I forgive you. You get on, forgive yourself. What I'm telling you, you don't put value on anything that will bring you down. I mean, there's things going to happen to you, and that's what I say is you don't put the value on it because, number one, your mind is a precious, precious space. And it has all kinds of room for the good stuff of this world and for the bad. And it depends on you where you put it. And then those things that are going against you, man, you need to just sit back and say, wait a minute. Let me rethink how I value the conversation of this person, that person. And then you'll be able to see the false attributes they lay on you when they tell you, oh, you look very nice today. Can I borrow $50? Boy, you are sure, man. I just love the way you talk. I need $150. You see, their value for you is the nicer they can become to you, is the more they can borrow, or the more they can take, or the more they can get on your good side so you can tell them some gossip that they say they won't tell anybody, but they go tell everybody. If you weed these people out of your life, I promise, I mean an absolute promise, that your life will be so much greater. Then God can bring somebody into your life that blesses you on a daily basis. Friends, my wife blesses me every single day. And I bless her too. She tells me this. She gives me more acclamation than I deserve. But that's a blessing. We're having a good time together. And that's not always been true, you know. But see, I finally quit listening to the garbage of family and friend, well, so-called friends. You find out really quick who's your friend, who's not. But you need to find the reality of God in your life. And the reality is this. If you've got a friend, know he's a friend. I've got two people in my life, other than my wife, that I know are true, blessed friends. One is my pastor, and one is my friend. He's a real estate agent in Lodi. I'm telling you now, when you got people that when you call them up, they don't start talking trash. You know, they like to hear from you. They're excited to talk with you, and you're excited to talk with them. That's a true friend. I'm telling you, you need to find true friends in your life. And a lot of you out there probably have all this, and that's great. Count yourself blessed. And when your friends do something stupid that you think, don't cut them loose. Man, I mean, you know, we got to tolerate something. And I almost lost a good friend over being offended over minor situations. See, in order to be free from bondage, you have to free yourself from your judgment and your understanding. Is that friendship worth losing over this particular item? Is it worth losing? Did they offend you enough that you don't never want to see them again in your life? Now, if it comes to the point of that, then you get on and find another friend or whatever. But if it's not worth losing that friendship, then you need to tell them, hey, I don't like what you said, I don't like what you did, but it's not worth giving up my friendship with you because I love you and I appreciate our friendship. Don't you see, people kick them, and I'm guilty. I was guilty of that many times. When somebody does one or two little things and I just kick them to the curb, I got tired of that, you know. But see, that's overreacting to what happens in your life. Get real. Get to the point of, I mean, we're not perfect, because if we were perfect, we would understand all this, but we're not perfect. I mean, I've done dumb things, and I don't consider myself a bad person, but I've done some really dumb things. But the key thing is the people in your life are the same way. They're no different than you. You need to look around when somebody offends you and be sure it's a felony, not a misdemeanor. And then when it's a misdemeanor, you just throw them out of court. But now if it's a felony, then you may take it further and see if they intended to hurt you. What we're talking about here today is bondage. I don't want you to get lost in what we're talking about, because before this program is over, I want you to know how to get out of what you got yourself into, and it doesn't matter what you got yourself into, because there's always a way out. There's a road out. There's a key to the lock that puts you in there. Most people say, well, this is how it is. This is how it's always going to be. That's because you're afraid of turning loose. Just because you're afraid of what's coming up next. In order to grab a hold of something else, you have to turn loose of what you have. And that's where humans have a problem with change. I mean, I stayed in many a business situation, drowning like a goat in the water, and just couldn't turn loose of it. I couldn't turn it. Man, you know what you got to get in your brain is this. You can fail 1,000,000 times. You only have to be successful once. Now, all these billionaires and all them things, they didn't get billionaires overnight. I bet there's probably thousands of failures they had, but they got up after each one of them, they went to the next one. That is what life is about. Circumstances should not determine your rational thinking. I mean, I know a guy, and I know him personally, failed in a business adventure. You couldn't get him to open up a newsstand because, man, I failed in that business. I can't make it nowhere. And that's been his mentality for 50 years. Think about that. Living your failure, one failure, for a 50-year period. I got to tell you, now, I've had hundreds of failures. And I've had it in a period of probably 20 years. But see, I'm still looking. I'm going to be a success. Well, I'm a success now to me, to my wife. Man, we're blessed. Right at this time, I am satisfied. If I never make another dime, if I never do another thing, the income I have right now, till I die, I'm satisfied. But that's not going to stop me from trying to get more. And not just for, man, money's not going to do me much good at 81. But I get it so I can help other people. I'm not going to quit trying to make money until they pack me in that little box. And never give up. And that's what we're going to continue to talk about in the next segment. God bless.
Introducing Psychology for Today with host Alan Hedberg, PhD, clinical psychologist. Watch it on CentralValleyTalk.com the first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with the program on YouTube, Psychology for Today. Dr. Hedberg is also on YouTube under Dr. Teach Me to Parent and Boys to Men. Introducing Psychology for Today with host Alan Hedberg, PhD, clinical psychologist. Watch it on CentralValleyTalk.com the first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with the program on YouTube, Psychology for Today. Dr. Hedberg is also on YouTube under Dr. Teach Me to Parent and Boys to Men. Introducing Psychology for Today with host Alan Hedberg, PhD, clinical psychologist. Watch it on CentralValleyTalk.com the first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with the program on YouTube, Psychology for Today. Dr. Hedberg is also on YouTube under Dr. Teach Me to Parent and Boys to Men.
I'm back. Well, we were talking about being in bondage, and naturally our mind is what gets us there. So what I want to talk about now is what's holding you back from surrendering everything? What's holding you back from not taking everything so seriously? What's holding you back for not liking people for what they say? What's holding you back from that? It's whatever is in your life that's holding you from surrendering everything to God. You need to determine what it is. You need to take it out of your life, and then you will see a difference. Because if nothing's working in your life, or if half the things are working, you see, number one, if you're holding judgment against somebody but not saying anything about it, then it's just you and you figuring it out. But if you surrender it and just let it go and let God deal with it, then you're dealing with that spirit that's within you. It's you, the spirit. You see, because misery is not a good thing. It's not something you want to live with, you know? I mean, you just ask an amputee. You know, they had their leg, their arm, or whatever it was that was severed from their body. Man, it changes everything. I mean, it just changes everything. Everything they have to do in life is changed. They have to adapt to that. So the same thing is giving up whatever it is that's causing a blockage between you and God. It's time to find out what it is and to just cut it out of your life. Why do you think they call it born again? Christians call it born again because your old life, which 99% of them bring it with them, and they say, oh yeah, I'm born again. No, you're not. You just said you was, and you brought your old life back with you, so not a whole lot changes. Maybe you quit cussing, maybe you quit drinking, maybe you quit drugs. That's all well and good. But the mind brings back the things that people done against you while you was in the world, and probably righteously so. But when you bring that over across the border into your mind, that puts you back in bondage. Why do you think people fall back and go into the world? Because they haven't truly cut loose of everything that was hurting them in the world. You need to find out what it is, and you save your life. When you're born again, don't let that die. Born again means today is the day for the rest of your life. And if you're born again, that means you don't know anything, and you don't need to know anything. From this point on, you create in your life who you want to be and what you want to do and who you want to do it with. And be sure that it's a thing that you really want to do, not because somebody else wants you to. Not because and let me tell you, if you tie money into your job, to the point I can't quit because I can't afford to. Let me tell you what, if you're in a miserable, one-sided job and it's making your life miserable, you can't afford not to quit. There's ways to survive, and a good person never has a problem finding a job. I mean, I know there's qualified people that have a hard time finding a job, number one, because they're not available. But I'm telling you, there's ways to make money whether it's working for somebody else or whether it's doing your own thing. Don't let the money, now if they're giving you $1 million a week, now that's another story. I'd stay there no matter how miserable I was. But you only need a week's worth, then you'd be okay. What I'm telling you is don't be miserable, because what if you die in your misery? That means you was miserable for nothing. That means before you come to the good part of your life, you died, so all you knew was misery. You never did know the true love, the feeling of caring and compassion. You see, you need to understand. You need to open up that life's closet and start taking out the old clothes. And when it's empty, then you start putting back in to this life's closet the things that you truly believe in and stand for and are confident that's what you want to do, and you are that person that you want to be. Now I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt that people watching this, whoever did, all three of you, that if you adhere to what I'm telling you, and not because I know anything, I'm not telling you because I'm smart and got knowledge, I'm telling you because I got experience. I was stupid, ignorant, crazy, I was all those things. But I found a loophole. It's called the desire to live. I had the desire to die. I know what that feels like. Now I want a desire to live. And the desire to live is not, I'm not talking about the just live and just exist. I'm talking about living, loving the morning when I get up, you know, hating the night because I have to go to bed. But I'm telling you, we need to love to live. If you don't love living, you're in misery. And I know what that is. I was in it for many, many, many years. You know what my life existed of? And I'll bet this hits home with a lot of you. I was counteract to everything that was happening to me. I was countering everything that come against me. I spent more time counteracting to defend something that wasn't right instead of just saying, okay, you're right, man, I was wrong. I need to get on down with it and move on. Don't try to hang on to something you know that's right and quit trying to justify it. And you people out there slapping your wives and stuff like that, you need to get out of their lives. Love doesn't come with slapping and beating. It comes with caring and nurturing. And you idiots that think you love them by slapping them and beating them around, there is a payday. You may not know it now, but there is a payday for the doing that. Love your spouse, care for them, respect them. I've been around people that disrespected their spouse in front of people, degraded them. I wanted to punch their lights out. I'm telling you, folks, start recognizing who you're around. If they're hurting you, get away from them. If they're degrading you, that doesn't come under the description of love. The description of love is about loving, caring, compassionate. And you that are on the receiving end of that, that's your bondage. And you need to get out from under that, no matter what it takes. And for nobody but yourself. And those of you that have children, oh my God, just think about that. Look at your children. See how they react to it. Now, I've seen these things. I am blessed that I never was one of them that ever raised a hand. That didn't make me a good guy. That made me a smart guy. Because number one, There's ways to hurt people without telling them or beating them, you know. That's why the mind is the inhabitants of bondage. And you need to find out what you need to give it up. You slappers, you people that are beating on your wives, you need to give that up. And you need to start treating them like your vows says. Go back and look at your video of your wedding and listen to the vows. It doesn't say anything about slapping, beating, condemning, judging. It talks about love, caring. Live a life that counts. And to live a life that counts, you have to follow the ways of the Bible. Whether you believe in God or whether you don't, immaterial. But you look in the Bible and the words say how you're to treat one another and how you're to act, how you're to keep a clear conscience. If you have any brain working at all inside that tomb, you will know that them are good things, not bad things. It talks about how to treat your wife. Wives, it talks about how you need to treat your husband. People get in there and they see that one verse that says, you got, do your husband's commandments. That's all well and good. But they stop right there. But just down a little ways, God tells the wife how she's able to love him is because he needs to love her with all his heart, his soul, and his body. And then she will want the direction of the husband. It's not forced on him. People look at that one verse and say, man, you got to do everything I said because the Bible says so. Yeah, but the Bible also says the reason you want to obey is because they are loved greater than anything in their lives. So don't get caught up in the stupidity of life thinking that you know everything there is to know. More than likely, you're just like me. You don't know what to do, but in reality, you know what not to do. And that's just as important. But we need to get into a position that we are a light of the world. And then if we're a light of the world, how bright is that light? Bondage comes in so many ways. When God talks about be careful what you hear, if you don't listen to that, if you don't value what comes in your ears, the value you put on that, and then if you make it an importance in the negative things in your life, that's going to put you in bondage. And every time you see a person that would talk bad about you, every time you've seen a person that done something against you, you'll be in bondage. So that's why you need to cut it. It's not important to hold on to things people do to you. And I know that might sound not right in the world. But for your own safety and for your own good, because who is miserable when you do that? You're miserable thinking about that person. You're wanting revenge, but you don't know how. And revenge and anger just eat you up like cancer. And so you become bondage to what you want to do to that person. You become bondage into the plan of how do I get even, or the plan of going around telling lies about them. And that makes you like them. That's not where you want to be. You want to be an independent, thinking, loving, caring person that no matter what happens to you, you stand your ground on your virtues, your beliefs, your love, and your caring and your compassion. If you ever turn that loose to get revenge on somebody else, you're going to lose everything. You're no longer going to be the person that you want to be. You're going to be the person that person that talked about you turned you into. Do not put any value whatsoever on gossip, negative information, bad people. The key thing is you stay away from bad people. And I know sometimes they're really nice to you at the beginning, and then all of a sudden they become these backstabbers and liars and even steal from you. But see, whatever they take is the value that they put on your friendship. Don't allow anybody to devalue your values. See you in the next segment. God bless.
JKH Career Coaching and Consulting, creating solutions in career planning, development, training. JKH Career Coaching and Consulting, creating solutions in career planning, development, training, and placement. Contact Jackie Kennedy Harris at JKH Career Coaching and Consulting at jkhccc.com or call 559-307-7712. Introducing Psychology for Today with host Alan Hedberg, PhD, clinical psychologist. Watch it on CentralValleyTalk.com the first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with the program on YouTube, Psychology for Today. Dr. Hedberg is also on YouTube under Dr. Teach Me to Parent and Boys to Men.
I'm back. You know, I've said the word value probably 100 times in this last segment, but I'm going to talk about it one more time because here's what I want you to know. This is something that I wrote. This come out of my brain, which doesn't make it valuable, but to me it made good sense. And this has been quite a few years back. I wanted to know how to determine the value of love. So this is kind of what I come at. I'm going to read this. The value of love. How do you determine the value of love? Love is an emotion, and its values has created great and wonderful things, or has created more misery than a person could stand. Depends on how much or how less an individual values it. If you love someone for something they have, the value is the worth of that item, financial gain. If you love someone for what they can do for you, the worth is in the influence that is achieved, recognition, man's glory. If you love someone for where they can take you, the value is in the destination, temporary pleasures of travel. The moment you arrive, the destination is history. The moment you leave, just a memory. So that's kind of what I got out of it. And this was years ago, and matter of fact, in June of 2015. But that's how we need to know, what do you value me for? What do I value you for? Now, see, if value is just for the love of you, for loving you as a person, not for what you can do for me, but we can converse. We're a kindred spirit. We both love God. We both know Jesus Christ is Lord and Master. And even I have friends that don't believe in God. You know what? I never belittle them about that. because I used to do the same thing. And what bugged me the most was somebody bugging me about getting saved. I said, well, I'm not lost, so I don't need to get saved. Said that for years, 44 years, matter of fact. And you have to find yourself on that same level. You have to do that on your own. Lots of things will drive you to looking at Christ and Christianity. But I don't throw people away because they don't believe like I do. You know, it's, if you love a person, you can't put any kind of condition on it, because that's what God says. The agape love means love without any recourse, no matter what. But God Himself says the same thing. It says that, hey, you don't have to like what they do. You don't have to like how they talk. You don't have to, but you have to love that person. And as I said before in the other program, sometimes you got to love them from a distance. So I don't know whether or not you're capable of doing that. But you got to determine that on your own. Can you do it on your own power? If you can, so be it. But see, God's there because the power is what makes it so much easier. And then the next thing is, what do you value your life? Again, I wrote this value of life. That depends on whether it is your life or someone else's. You can talk to one person who would intentionally take a life for little or no money. Then again, talk to someone who would give up their fortune for another person to live. There are people who take their own life because of losing something on this earth they believe they could not live without: relationship, love, possessions, or friends. Then there are people who have lost everything only to realize they did not need them to live and be happy without them. They valued their life because of love for themselves, not tied to anything on earth. You see, that's value of life. Now, value of life is very important. You have to value your life. You have to love your life. And as it said about when the disciples talked to Jesus and said, what's the most commandments? It says loving God with all your heart, soul, body, and everything, and then also loving your neighbor as yourself. But then he said, all other commandments hinge on that. So if you don't have that too, you can go ahead and lie, cheat, and steal, because if you're doing everything but those two, you're done. He said it makes no difference. They have no value. If you do not have the love of God in your heart and the love for yourself and your fellow man, you're done. Are we done here? God bless. That's it. That was a short. Okay, folks. Now we've talked about a lot of things today. I need for you to communicate with me. Help me to help other people. Help me to help you. Get on my website, get a hold of my book, or just communicate with me. Looking forward to you. See you next Wednesday. God bless. Have a great week.